Welcome to the Interior Show with me, Aditi Singh. Well, joining me on the show today is designer Sandeep Shah, who's gone on to design some of the biggest and the best commercial and residential establishments as an owner of the SSA Design Studio. So let's go ahead and meet him.
I'm Sandeep Shah. I'm an architect and an interior designer. I graduated from LS Raheja School of Architecture in 1992. Then I went for my master's in architecture in US. And then I came back and I started my own firm with my wife, Anita, who is also an architect and an interior designer. And we started our firm SSA Design Studio in 1995. Since then, we have been fortunate enough to work on various projects like residential buildings, apartments, schools. We've also designed a township in Bhavnagar. I believe design is a methodology. It is how things come together in a cohesive form. Over the years, a lot of our projects have been published, so it has helped us to garner a better clientele. It's helped us to grow as a firm, helped us to grow as a person, and it's just been a very fun ride so far. The best part of my profession is that you get to create various things, you get to live different lives, you get to do a wide array of things. And the best part is that we get paid for what we like to do.
Hi Sandeep, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me on the show, Aditi.
It's my pleasure. Well, I'd like to begin by asking that you've been in this business for about 20 years now. What continues to be the core of your design philosophy?
I think Steve Jobs has put it very aptly, that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. We try to stay one step ahead and give our clients more than they expect.
Okay. Well, you know, as we speak, we are sitting in this really plush corporate space. This office caters to life-saving drugs. So how important is the core of the business when you actually go ahead and design a layout for the space?
The main brief was to make this workplace more productive. They wanted to make their employees like the space they're working in. And by virtue of that, the productivity increases.
Okay.
The better the interaction among employees, among all hierarchies, the more informal becomes the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And that increases productivity.
So let's start with the design elements that you've used to reflect the brief. Now, starting with the flooring, because this is one thing that strikes me first. What is this made of?
These are actually vitrified tiles with the size of 4 feet by 2 feet. And they are kind of replicating Italian marble.
Yeah.
So it's 1/3 the cost, but it's kind of gives the feel of that. To break the monotony of the floor, we added just some small patterns to give it a break.
Okay.
And contrasting colors as well.
Yeah.
And the same style which we have used on the floor that we have clad are all the columns also with that.
Okay.
And we also embedded steel putties as details between the tiles.
Okay.
So that it looks more interesting, and though it's a very subtle detail,
yeah,
but it gives the required amount of panache to the place.
Okay. Coming to the reception area, again, I see that you've stuck to the color palette more or less.
Yes.
Right? You've used marble there as well?
Yeah, that's natural Italian marble.
Okay.
And we have mixed that with an artificial marble,
okay,
which has a slight shimmer in that.
All right.
Which we have again reused in the funky little conference space which we've created in this lobby.
Yes, that conference space is actually quite funky.
Yeah.
And what actually does justice to that theme is that cycle chandelier that's hanging.
This conference room which we've created is like a building within a building, so that this smaller building has to have a shape of its own.
Okay.
And we made it abstract to make it more eye-catching. So we have a sloping roof with glass. So when you're sitting inside the conference area,
yeah,
you can see through the glass the main building, the ceiling of the main building.
All right.
And it looks very interesting to have 2 layers of slabs in between.
Yeah.
They make it look a little funky.
Since the theme was quirky in the conference room, what is the kind of furniture you used?
We have, these 4 lounge chairs, each with a different color, but the design is the same.
Okay.
And the background, we have a night sky with light effect of cityscape. So it adds color, but in a little subtle way.
Okay.
from that conference area, we can see the water body of the reception.
Yeah.
So people entering the reception or the office area, they can also see the conference area and vice versa.
How did you think of creating a water body towards the entrance of the building?
In Indian culture, place of work is also treated like a place of worship. It's also sacred.
Sacred, yeah.
And when you enter any sacred space, you need to clean your feet.
Okay.
Now this can't be possible, practically possible in an office.
True.
So as a symbolism, what we've done is create a glass floor, a transparent glass flooring with a water body beneath. So when you're walking on the glass floor to enter the main office space,
Yeah.
you're actually cleaning your feet symbolically.
Okay.
So before you enter the main office.
Okay.
And then we developed this concept and extended the water body. We added some mushroom fountains, and even the flooring we've done in what is called as Bisaza tiles.
And in terms of cost, how expensive are they?
These are in the range of about 300 to 500 rupees a square feet, depending again on what design you take.
Now coming to the lobby, I see that again the kind of furniture you've used, the texture is leather.
This is actually artificial leather. It's not natural. And the reason to do this is because we wanted different shades. We wanted to make it more funky, and natural leathers don't offer as many shades.
Okay.
And also it keeps the cost down, and it's easier to maintain in an office environment.
Talking about the floors above this, one of the main highlights of the office is the MD's office. So tell me, how did you make it stand out?
The MD's cabin, we have totally changed the color palette. We've gone on grays. So we have an Italian gray marble called Grey Orbito, and we have mixed that with the furniture being of white polycoating, and we've added some walnut veneers over there. So we've kind of totally transformed that space and made it different from the rest of the office. We have onyx marble crescendas with light backlight from there, and we've added thing which is called as mother of pearl semi-precious stone, which is part of the MD table designs.
But if you still had to name that one design element that actually makes it stand out, in your opinion, what would that be?
I believe it's the Versace wallpaper which we have used in the cabin. It's simple, but it really stands out.
Okay. You know, one thing I noticed was that the office, MD's office, is quite spacious. It's one full floor.
Yeah.
Now, how did you go about planning this space?
What we wanted to do on that floor was have a separate reception area for them, because they get a lot of domestic as well as international clients. So we had a very chic reception planned over there.
Okay.
And from where you enter their main cabin.
Okay.
And they are two brothers.
Yeah.
So we've created individual spaces for both of them, exactly alike. And we've once you enter the space, we also have a terrace extension.
Okay.
Which we have added some artificial green over there.
Yeah.
And we've added again the same color palette of grays continue in that area.
Okay.
And we've had some pergolas on the terrace to give it a more warm feel.
Okay, thank you so much for that information regarding office spaces. Since we have covered one, I'm actually looking forward to seeing how have you done a residential space, which we will be having a look at after a short break.
Yes, definitely looking forward to it.
After a rather creative journey through this commercial space, Sandeep is all set to take us to a residential space and show us how a regular 3-bedroom apartment can be designed to make a statement of its own. That's coming up in just a bit.
We have a credenza below the space. So what we've done is we've punctured the ceiling above it to match with the shape of the credenza, and we've put indirect light over there.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Interior Show, and right now we're joining you from this extremely tasteful apartment that Sandeep has designed. Well, Sandeep, before we begin to talk about the design elements that you've used here, tell me something about the client. What was the brief like?
The client is they are a young couple. They have 2 small kids, and they're from a business family. and they have a large extended family and a big friend circle. So they wanted a space where people could come, enjoy, feel free, enjoy the open spaces. So we've designed these spaces in such a way that the terrace is connected to the hall.
Okay,
Which
it's
is
part of the living space.
Yeah, it becomes your main, socializing space.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to kind of clutter the whole space up. So what we've decided to go with simple lines. And even when we use curves, we use it intelligently. We don't overdo the curves.
Okay.
And the basic palette, we've kept it white.
Yeah.
So the space looks more open, and we've highlighted certain areas. So for example, we highlight a wall and one wall, and the rest of the walls are very subtle. So the whole area stands out.
And how about the color of the furniture? I noticed that it's more or less black throughout, with of course some white in between.
We've contrasted the furniture with the floor colors and the walls. So we have a white concept overall. So we've added the black sofas. Also we have a red recliner, a maroon color recliner, which goes with the tinge which we have used for the overall space, which is for the wallpapers or the poly coating which you see behind.
On the other side of the living room, I noticed that you've carved a dining area from out of the wall.
Yes, we wanted to make this hall as spacious as possible within the given parameters. And the bench is also used tactfully, because sometimes when you have more people, you can probably squeeze in one more without any extra chairs. And it just looks neat. And we've designed the backrest in a back painted glass. So it's also white, and it's mixed with self-designed white palette.
Okay.
And it's easy maintenance, because even if you're sitting against it, you can just wipe it off with a cloth and you're done.
Another thing that accentuates the dining area is the chandelier above it.
We've picked the chandelier with whatever particular demand needs we had. Like we wanted a silver, a steel finish base, and we wanted a crystal look so that the light could spread.
Yeah.
And it gives a good shadow, a good sciography when all the other lights are switched off.
Okay.
And it matches with the steel base which we've done. And though the base is of wood, but we have steel rings, and they are powder coated in rustic kind of look.
And if I could be a little more specific about it and ask you that, where did you source this from?
We sourced this from a place called Light Up India, which is in Mumbai.
Okay. And what's the price that you had to pay for this?
This was for approximately about 14,000 rupees.
I've also noticed that you've used lighting in this house, especially the living area right now, in a lot of unconventional ways. For example, the one that I can see right in front of me is like a block structure. Doesn't look like your conventional chandeliers.
We have a credenza below the space. So what we've done is we've punctured the ceiling above it to match with the shape of the credenza, and we've put indirect light over there. So we designed this light fitting as it's not a chandelier, but per se it's like a designed light fitting.
Okay.
And we've covered it with back painted glass. So what you see, the red portion in the design is actually glass. And there are lights below it. So when you enter the space, this is one of the first things you see.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives you a feel like, the modern day chimneys you have in the contemporary new apartments.
So it's a chimney with lights.
Yes.
Except there's no smoke coming out of it.
That's right.
I have to say that you've left no stone unturned in going the unconventional way. Another interesting element is that small water body that you've created.
Yeah.
Did the client specifically want that, or was that your idea?
No, we actually convinced the client to put it.
Okay.
It gives a lot of soothing effect, and basically also due to the Vastu.
Well, after all that information, I think it's time for us to foray into the other spaces in the house and check out what's in store.
Sure, definitely. Let's start with the master bedroom.
Okay. I see the color white is something that's running constant.
Yeah. As in the whole house, the basic color is white. Then we've added tinges of a different shade, like we had maroon in the hall. So we have like a mauve color in the master bedroom. But apart from the wallpaper, which is mauve, the rest of the thing is white. We have also highlighted the veneer over here in the niches where we can have some showpieces here. And we've had jali cutwork. This is an MDF, so it's like a laser cutwork.
Cut.
Yes.
So let's talk about laser cutting in detail. Since it's a very intricate process, how much does it cost?
It costs somewhere between 500 to 1500 rupees a square feet, depending on the design.
And when it comes to the aesthetic value of this technique, where can you possibly use it? Just on the walls, or are there other unique ways of using it?
You can use them on the walls, as done here. You can use it on the ceiling.
Okay.
You could probably use it on the furniture, on the bed side.
Wow.
You could use it on the table as a tabletop.
Okay.
So, the application is wherever
Vast.
you can creatively use it.
And similarly, here also you've used lighting behind the frost glass.
When you have a glass behind, there's no dust which goes back. So it's easy to maintain.
Yeah, well, that's an intelligent trick. Now, since you have given the walls a very unique identity by giving it a laser cut on one side, on the other you've used a wallpaper. Right in front of me is another example of what I just talked about. You've used frosted glasses.
Yeah.
And you've used some sort of a pattern on it.
Yeah,
right?
This pattern is kind of the same pattern which we've used on the laser cut. We've modified that, but the concept remains the same.
Okay.
And this actually...
Oh, it opens up
This
into
opens up. This is a walk-in wardrobe.
Okay.
So it gives privacy if you're inside, and in the daytime you can just leave it open.
Leave it open. And there's enough space in that walk-in closet to actually create a seating area even around that.
Yeah.
Right? So now let's come to the bed. I see a headboard that you've created out of marble.
No, this is veneer.
Okay.
And we've made a horizontal headboard so that the room looks more wider.
Okay.
And we have the whole walls above which are clean.
Okay.
And we can have some paintings.
Right. Well, Sandeep, having covered the master bedroom, I've heard that doing up a kid's room for mostly all the designers has always been a challenge, because you have to cater to so many things, and also the fact that they might just be, they'll grow up and their ideas will evolve. And so let's see how you've done the kids' room.
Yes, sure. Let's go.
So Sandeep, looks like a very spacious and a playful kids' room indeed. I want to begin by asking you that what were your prime considerations before you set out to create this?
See, this room is not like a huge room by design.
Yeah.
But we've placed the furniture in such a way that we've given it a feel of a bigger space.
True.
Now, for example, if you see the wardrobe, the bed goes beneath the wardrobe. So you actually climb on a platform to access the wardrobe.
Okay.
And the bed goes beneath. So in the daytime, it looks like it's a sofa.
Okay.
And at night you can pull it out and it becomes a bed.
This is very interesting and a very clever and intelligent use of space. Now let's move on to the lights, because this is something you have constantly experimented with throughout the house.
We wanted to make a simple ceiling, but an effective one.
Yeah.
So if you see, the ceiling is very simple. It's just got two curves and that's kind of it. But in the flat area, we've added some alphabets.
Yeah.
So it's interesting for kids, and we have put color changing LED lights.
Yes.
So instead of a single color, there's rotation of color, and this is what kids enjoy.
Well, Sandeep, I have to thank you for getting me to this room, because it was a treat. It took me back to my childhood days. And one thing we really want to talk about with you in detail is about use of 3D, because I have seen that you have used it quite extensively. For example, in this room on the ceiling with alphabets, in the master bedroom, you've used a lot of laser cutting. So, I mean, it definitely calls for one full session on use of 3D in home decor, which we're going to take up in the next segment after a short break.
Definitely, I'm looking forward to it.
It's time to take a short break, but on the other side, all that you ever wanted to know about using 3D in home decor, coming up in just a bit.
You can take these MDF boards and nail it to the shutters, for example, and it becomes, your whole shutter looks like an embossed 3D shutter.
Welcome back. In this segment of the Interior Show, we're going to turn the spotlight on using 3D in home decor. Sandeep, these days a lot of people want to use 3D patterns on their walls or on their headboards. So how exactly does that work out?
There are a lot of choices to do that. Let's start with something which is called as MDF.
Okay.
And you have a lot of patterns on that, and it's a ready sheet which is a size of 8 feet by 4 feet, and you can just put it on the wall and it gives you a good 3D effect.
Okay.
It's also called as fun wall.
Okay.
Then you have laser cut designs, what we've seen in the house.
Yeah.
And you can also do 3D work in gypsum, as you've seen the children room fall ceiling,
Yeah.
as well as the hall of the residence we saw.
Yeah.
So all those things are a good choice for the homemakers. And also one more thing is something like a marble or a stone, which you can just, instead of putting it on the same level, you just put it slightly up and down, so it gives you a good 3D effect.
So if you want to go ahead with a wall 3D paneling, then it's best recommended that you go ahead with marble.
Yeah, if it's external.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And if it's internal?
Then you have all these choices. So based on your theme, you can select the material.
And in terms of pricing, how does it vary with different materials?
The most economical is MDF.
Okay.
These sheets range from about 2,500 to 3,000 rupees per sheet. And the expensive end would be something like marble.
Yeah.
So that would be the cost of the marble, and then the cost of labor of doing all that, which is on a higher side.
Well, thank you for those three-dimensional insights, Sandeep. Well, with that, it's time for us to take up all the queries that have been sent in to us this week. So, Sandeep, are you ready to answer them?
Sure.
Let's start with the first one. Karuna from Chennai asked, I'm redoing my parents' bedroom. What kind of furniture should I buy as they are aged?
I think the most important feature here should be whatever furniture you buy or make have to have rounded edges. You need to have their bed height adjusted. For example, a standard bed height is say 16 or 17 inches.
Yeah.
But if they find it difficult to sit at that height and you want to increase it to about, say 20 inches or 22 inches, that should have, you should look at it like that, because you have to kind of see their comfort sitting height.
So height is a major consideration.
Yeah, height is a major consideration. Rounded edges on all the furniture.
Yeah.
And no furniture should have anything jutting out.
All right. Well, with that, we will address Aniket's query from Mumbai. He says, I'm shifting into my new apartment. I do not like the sight of cluttered wires near the TV unit. How do I conceal them?
You have a paneling which is about 2.5 inches outside the wall.
Yeah.
So all the wires are concealed inside. And on the paneling itself, there are a lot of options to aesthetically give it a good look. Like you can have these 3D panels, you can have wallpapers, you can have paintings, texture paint.
Now let's solve Manya's query from Delhi. She writes, I love old traditional Havelis and want to incorporate some elements of that style in my master bedroom. How do I plan it?
You can use jalis, and you can use that as a backrest.
Yeah.
We can backlit it to make it a little more modern and for some mood lighting.
Yeah.
You could use jerocas as wall ornamentation. The colors for the walls should probably be more earthy.
Okay.
And the flooring could be, cream, beige, that kind of rusty look kind of thing.
Yeah. And keeping this Haveli setup in mind, I'm sure fabrics will also play an important role.
Yes, definitely. You need to go very ethnic with the fabrics, the colors, the designs, the patterns should be very ethnic, and so it gels with the overall decor of the space.
All right, with that, it's time for us to address the last query. Hema from Kolkata wants to know about how can she create a partition between the dining and the living area without any wall?
There are 2-3 ways of doing that. One is you can have a frameless sliding folding glass.
Okay.
So when you want to have both rooms separate, you just get all the glasses together.
Yeah.
And when you want to open it out and make the room look one, you just open out the whole frame so that you don't see any obstruction in between.
And what about some other alternatives?
You can have screens in between, which you can also do with jalis. You can have some design created in MS as a grill, in a grill work in steel.
Yeah.
You could also have a small unit which acts as a partition between the living and the dining space, which is probably not more than say about 2.5 or 3 feet in height. So at your eye level, the room looks open.
Okay. Well, on that note, thank you so much for answering those queries. And now I would like to thank you for spending your day with us and for giving us those insightful, information into decor and giving us a different perspective on that. It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Well, that was quite an interesting session with Sandeep Shah, but unfortunately, that's all the time we have on this episode of the Interior Show. But do join us next week, same time, with yet another exciting episode of the Interior Show. Until then, goodbye and keep watching Magicbricks Now.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at magicbricksnow. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.